Georgetown housing! We want you! 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 Georgetown housing!
The scale of USC's project will fundamentally change our community forever.
My church has lost 1,000 families because of the scaling up of rental prices.
The number one priority on the specific plan needs to be the construction of student housing.
I'm concerned and disturbed by the USC specific plan and development agreement.
We don't want to be displaced. We need a place to live. We need affordable housing.
I cannot support the plan in its current state, unfortunately.
And what needs to happen is that USC has to take responsibility.
This plan goes forward that is done in a way that we collaborate. This is a historic opportunity for this university to work in partnership to be the flagship institution in this country that helps revitalize the neighborhood by guaranteeing jobs, by guaranteeing business opportunities, by guaranteeing affordable housing so that we do not displace our people any longer. Thank you very much.
This is a community which really has gone through transitions almost every 10 years. You could sense that there were changes going on with perhaps a stable group staying here, but then just seeing transitions happening all along. Changed from a white community to a primarily African American community. By the time I came back in the 70s, a number of changes had started to happen there. A number of African families had actually moved into the neighborhood, which was very interesting. By the 90s, Latinos started to move into the neighborhood, and we started to see another change. So, and then in the last decade, USC students, just an amazing change in the neighborhood as it's become primarily USC. In the other cases, there was always a remnant of one community as the new one came in. In the last wave with USC students, it was a total change.
When I came to Los Angeles for the first time in 1968, the city was working with the university to be sure that they wouldn't move out of the community. They were very concerned that they would do the same thing that Pepperdine was talking about at that time, in which they eventually did. Pepperdine picked up and moved to Malibu, and USC was making some threats and would often portray itself, with the help of the media, as surviving in this very dangerous community of blue-collar, hard-working families. But because of that, the city, there was really a land grab in which the university almost was able to add a third of the properties. They displaced a number of residents and businesses and were able to grow to what they said they needed to the size they needed to be, where they would be satisfied. Los Angeles hosted the Olympics in 1984, and USC was the Olympic Village. So at that time, there was a lot of discussion about what kind of university would this be. Would it be one that was fenced off and separated from the community? Or would it become a university in which there was a flow into the neighborhood, a coming and going of neighbors and students and faculty, etc. After the Olympics, as they started to take down the chain link fence, they started to build a permanent fence. So we said, the decision has been made what kind of a university we will be. We'll be one that has barriers, has fences, and is walled off to the community.
Over the last 20 years, USC has really changed. USC changed from being one time primarily a commuter school for students who lived in this area. Now USC is a regional, national, and international university. In order for students to come here, a lot of private landlords converted their housing, which at one time was low-income housing. They converted that. You know, they saw a market and said, you know, we can provide housing to USC students.
Then we started to see our families moving in with each other. Certainly moving out of the community. There was just a mass migration out of the community because there was no other place to live. So folks were just moving down farther into South Central Los Angeles. We heard of a couple families that moved into garages in the backs of homes so that they would have a place to stay. It was just a crisis for folks. because LA just doesn't have enough affordable housing to handle that kind of displacement. And it was a massive displacement. We saw our community change from 10% student resident to 90% student resident over a 6-year period. We would just have family after family coming to the church saying, "Pastor, we've been evicted, we don't know what to do. Where are we going to go? Where are we going to live? Where are we going to find a rent like this?"
I know of one instance where there's a single mother, has 2 children, and she was very active here, and she had to move to Downey because that's what happened, and she would had a much preferred to have lived here, but they raised the rent up. She has a job that pays somewhat, but I mean it's not a lucrative job. So when they raised the rent, she had to move.
A friend of mine, she was living here for 33 years, and she was evicted from night, de la noche a la mañana, day to night. We can say that? Yeah, it's crazy because we are renters, we are so vulnerable. She was living here 33 years. Gloria.
And so when we hear the displacement issue, it's like, yeah, but there's a give and take. There's also to be understanding that the folks who do live here, the folks who have historically lived here, the university has tried its best to make sure that they have access to educational opportunities, to cultural opportunities, recreational opportunities that most other folks don't have.
USC has offered a number of initiatives over the years, and some of them have made a difference. I mean, I can't say that the initiatives that came out of the 80s relating to some of the public schools, the family of 5 schools, wasn't beneficial in some ways, because it certainly made a difference for the schools. The difficulty is always what happens when everything is based on a pyramid, and it's trickle down. It's trickle down benefit for the neighborhood. It really is.
Look this. Apartments available exclusively for USC students and faculty. This is discrimination. This is against the law. And we are surrounding for all this.
That's been the relationship for since the fence went up, especially. I think since the fence went up after the 80s, it really symbolically said, we're the fortress, we have the power, this is the castle, and you all live on the outskirts of the castle.
For this, and it goes along with the moral obligation, it's not us telling community members, we know what's right, you have to listen to us. It's us working with community members, developing these programs. So we've more than met our moral obligation. And we're going to continue to do so. I mean, the university is committed to creating a college-going culture in South LA, and the results speak for themselves.
10 years, this local parish of St. Agnes, we have lost 1,000 families, which in terms of individual people, that translates into 5,000 people.
Losing entire families, hundreds of families. How can you don't feel fear? How can you don't feel sad for this?
It's what we see in many situations when the powerful become too powerful. They just think they can do whatever they want. So the initiatives are nice. You can say, well, Better Neighbor, the Better Neighborhood campaign, but what good is it to be a better neighbor when you can't live there anymore? Better neighbor to who? If we've lost 90% of our residents, then who are the better neighborhoods that they're relating to? We would do a posada every year with our church, which was African American, Belizean, Latino, and white. And we would leave. This would be right around Christmas time when USC students were on vacation. And really, I remember in 1968, we walked down the street. Normally, we would walk down the street with our community of maybe 50 people looking for a place for the baby Jesus to find a house. And we'd stop at this house and we'd sing, and people would offer us chocolate, and we'd go to another house and another house. And then in 2008, we walked down the street, and all the lights were out. All the apartments were empty. And I said, oh my God, there's nobody left. The community's gone. That's not a good neighbor. I'm sorry. That's not a good neighbor. Destroyed. a community.
I feel alone on my own house. I feel empty and I feel estranged. Feeling estranged because our neighborhood changed a lot.
What is that saying then? What we have really is there's no other name to give it but a racist it's a dominating mentality, the domination mentality, you know. You do what we want you to do, and you should smile and be happy because we're giving you these nice things. It's top down. It's doing things to us and on us. It's not doing things with us. And this is a neighborhood that has been about community, about relationship, about connecting to each other. And we've seen these wonderful connections over the years. African Americans really relating to Latino brothers and sisters, you know, poor, relating to middle class. And the students that came into the community were welcomed because people are welcome to share in the richness of our community. But if you take away the community, there's no richness left. Perhaps the saddest, that is the sadness that I feel, that I felt on that posada walking down my neighborhood and seeing that all of our community was gone, and experiencing the death of a neighborhood. And in experiencing death, I have the same emotions that one has in experiencing a death. Anger. I'm still very angry at the university, at the leadership of this university. Pain. I can be brought to tears even now. It's been 4 years later. I can be brought to tears just thinking about what we lost.
In trying to figure out how to hold the university accountable for the displacement issue, the university has said, yeah, the displacement is because the university hasn't built enough student housing. But again, the response is, well, where? Where do you want us to build the student housing?
They need to take care about the surrounding community because we are victims for their decisions.
We are very concerned that the local community has an ongoing dialogical input to the USC master plan, especially regarding housing, because we do not want to see a complete gentrification of the area and the elimination of the immigrant and other people of color that have been in this neighborhood for years occur.
For me, university life is an exciting experiment in reality. It's not ivory tower. When administrations and leadership keeps moving towards an ivory tower mentality in which folks really don't get to move into the flow of the neighborhood, I think that the students and the faculty and the staff miss out on wonderful dynamics. When the walls go up around the university, then the students, the faculty, the staff, everyone misses all that. And if people live with walls of fear and anxiety, what are they like on the other side? They don't have an opportunity to participate and share in that. Ronald Reagan said it to the Russians. He said, was it Mr. Gorbachev? Tear down those walls. Max, tear down these damn walls. Open this university into the community. Let it flow like that original plan was. What a relationship you can have. How much richer and deeper and more profound the education can be for your students. How much richer your professors and teachers can be when they really have that ebb and flow with community peoples. Come to know the activists and the people that are working in this area. Marvelous, marvelous people to improve their neighborhoods. Become a part of it. Don't become an adversary.